welcome back to the Big Four College Basketball Podcast. Unfortunately, Luke cannot join us tonight as he is still mourning Ohio State's loss to Syracuse. So we'll get right into this.
Okay, then.
Michigan posted an impressive week, obliterating North Carolina and Purdue, two ranked teams at the time. What do you have to say about Michigan's week? And are they the most complete team in college basketball? Mike?
Michigan's a very good basketball team. Right now, they're the best team in the Big Ten. They play great defense, and they drive the ball to the basket, which opens up shooters. I've been impressed with how, what's his name? The Polish guy plays. He's been playing really well this year.
Oh, yeah.
Brazdeikis, he's good. He's not as good as Kenny Goings, but he's good. Kenny Goings, who almost had a triple-double today, but we'll get to that in a second. But good win over North Carolina. North Carolina's not as good as they were years past, but that's still a pretty good win. North Carolina also lost to Texas, who lost to my man Mike Jones and Radford. Great, that's a great team. Radford's making the tournament this year again, this time as an 11 seed, and they're going to the Final Four. You look at Michigan, Purdue is not a good basketball team right now. They're like Oklahoma of last year, and Carson Edwards is like Trae Young. He's just super inefficient with the ball. He's a better player than Trae Young, but his teammates are worse than Trae Young had. So I don't know if I can take anything out of that win, but it was a good week for Michigan.
I would agree. Purdue is one of those fake teams. That makes sense. Everybody's hyping them up, and they're going to be ranked, but they're not really that good outside of Carson Edwards. But I was impressed with the UNC one. I think
that guy with the beard, Boudreaux, he's nasty.
Boy, for Purdue, don't forget about Matt Harms.
Matt Harms is nasty.
No, I was impressed. I like how they kept their foot on the gas. I think they shot the ball well, especially in the second half. And I don't know if they're the most complete team, but they're definitely top three right now, I would say.
Yes, they are the most complete team. And yes, they are a better team than last year. And I never thought I'd say that. I'll go through why. This defense last year, you look at common opponents. At least in West Lafayette, they played Purdue and they got destroyed defensively. They played North Carolina last year. They got destroyed defensively. They played Villanova in the national championship last year, and they got destroyed defensively. And they've shut down all three of those teams.
Well, Villanova was a lot different than last year.
That's true, but they shut down all three of those teams, and this Carolina win I thought was most impressive.
Yeah, Villanova almost lost to 0-8 LaSalle.
No, they did not. They won that game by 30 points.
They were losing at the half.
Doesn't matter. Michigan was losing to Holy Cross at the half, and it's the best team in college basketball. So you go down the list here. Xavier, you've got to compare a starting lineup and this team from last year. Simpson's obviously better than last year. The edge goes to Rockmont over Poole. Poole's getting a lot better. I've been really impressed. He won Big Ten Player of the Week this week. Matthews better than last year. Brazdeikis is far better than Livers was last year, and then obviously Wagner. And the thing is, you go through Brazdeikis and Wagner play a very similar game. They were the same number. They're both from different countries. And, their games are just eerily similar. And I think Brazdeikis is actually a better player. And he's proved it as far as he won Big Ten Freshman of the Week this week. And then you look at the bench. Last year, they didn't really have a lot of consistent scoring off the bench. But you look at Isaiah Livers coming off the bench has been great. He offers double-digit scoring most of the time. And you look at Brooks comes in and hits threes. Austin Davis comes in. He's a big body. This is definitely the most complete team in college basketball, along with D-Line, who is the best coach in college basketball.
Okay.
All right. Does anybody have anything to say?
No.
Okay. Let's move on. Michigan State embarrassed by Louisville, and then barely defeats Rutgers and defeats Iowa convincingly today. What do you have to say about Michigan State's week?
You guys can go first.
You want us to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. The Louisville game was disappointing if you're a Michigan State fan. They were gifted that game, and they couldn't do it. They missed free throws down the stretch, missed a couple big shots. I mean, Kenny Goins had a monster game, like just rebounding. But I think they should have won that game, and not as a joke here, but Rutgers is actually better than people give credit for.
Oh, boy.
They beat Miami. They have a couple good wins, and they played MSU tough. So I don't think too much out of that. Tough road environment. And then obviously today the Iowa win was pretty impressive. I mean, Iowa was coming off a loss to Wisconsin. But they have some holes they need to fix, but I think if they get it together, that'll be a tough team.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this team, we'll go to their wins first. Rutgers, whatever, it's Rutgers. And Iowa today, Iowa's not a good basketball team. They have 3 losses now, right? Is that 2 or 3?
2.
2? Well, they're very similar to Purdue in my eyes. Purdue is not very good. I don't think Iowa's very good. And I think they'll be very lucky to make the tournament. This is just Michigan State, just better basketball team. You look at this team, and how they're ranked number 10 is just absolutely absurd. It's a 2-loss team who has lost to every formidable opponent on their schedule so far.
What?
Yeah, they really haven't beaten a good team so far.
You're the one who said UCLA was a good team.
Obviously, that was a joke.
Okay.
Louisville's tough to play at home, but it doesn't matter because the referees, at least in the last 5 minutes of the game, were handing Michigan State the game. It was some of the most blatant, terrible I've ever seen. And they couldn't pull it out. They missed some big free throws, and they lost in overtime. And it was embarrassing. And I think that shows a lot about this team closing out games late. And, we'll see how that translates down the line into Big Ten play, but I was not impressed with Michigan State this week.
Let's start with the Louisville. We'll start with the Louisville game. I know what you're talking about closing out late because we were losing that entire game. And the last 3 minutes of the game, we took a small lead, and we couldn't hold the lead. And, when we lose Cassius Winston, we just have really no chance because Foster Loyer is not ready for the moment. He is the worst defender I've ever seen take a basketball court. He'll get better, but right now he's not ready. Missing our best defender, Matt McQuaid, it's tough when you're missing your best defender on the road to win a game like that. And of course Cassius Winston picked up 5 dumb fouls, and that was his fault. What?
I will also add that Michigan State single-handedly cost the Big Ten the Big Ten ACC challenge.
You could say Purdue did the same thing, but
Nope, just Michigan State.
Okay then. Well, yeah, the Louisville game was bad. We had some players in there at the end of the game, which really they haven't been playing all year long. Like Gabe Brown made a big shot, but he hasn't been playing all year long at all. So, that's what happens. You get in foul trouble against good teams on the road, and Louisville is a good team. They're an NIT team. And nobody wins in that building in November. Louisville has never lost a game at home in November, so...
That's the point. It doesn't matter. You're a far superior team. You got to win that game.
Well, Ryan McMahon is the best three-point shooter in the country, and sometimes when you get him hot, it's kind of hard to stop him. But, that is an inexcusable loss. Rutgers, that's a really good win. First time in 20 years the rack was sold out after Rutgers' big win over Miami. And they blitzed us in the first 5 minutes. They had an 8-point lead early. They could have blown us out of the building, but no. We decided to come back. Our offense got going. And really, the difference between us in the Louisville game and the last 2 games we've had, Iowa and Rutgers, is we've limited the turnovers. We've virtually cut them in half. Not more than in half. Cassius Winston had 0 turnovers against Rutgers, which was big. And I think he had 1 today, so he had a great game today as well. But yeah, Rutgers, that's a tough place to play. When that place is sold out, a bunch of New Yorkers, they're just a relentless crowd. And Nick Ward played amazing in that game. And we fought and we won that game. So, and now today, Iowa's the 18th ranked team in the country, and I saw them dismantle Oregon. I saw them dismantle UConn. They're a good basketball team.
Didn't Oregon just lose to some, awful team?
Well, we don't talk about the Texas Southern game, but they were ranked at the time.
Yeah, they lost to Texas Southern, that's right.
Hey, Texas Southern is the leader in strength of schedule right now in the country, so they're a good team.
They do make the tournament every couple of years.
Yeah, well.
All right, so that's like saying Chattanooga's a good team.
Well, that's what you said.
Yep, Tennessee Tech's a good team.
Oh yeah, what are they, 0-10 now?
No, I think they've won a game. Anyways, back to this game. Iowa's a really good team. They got some great post players. Tyler Cook is in the running for first team All Big Ten this year. Luka Garza, really good player. Jordan Bohannon, one of the best shooters in the Big Ten. Isaiah Moss, no relation to Teron Moss, but he's still a really good player. How about Fran McCaffrey's son, Connor McCaffrey? He's nasty, coming off the bench. So Iowa's a really good team, and our defense just handled them all game long. They couldn't do anything against our defense. We have the second best defense in the Big Ten, and it's not even close.
Hold on. So last week you came on here and said you had the best defense in the Big Ten. So that's interesting. That within a week you changed.
Well, I saw Michigan play. They are impressive on the defensive side. I'll give you that. Offensively, Nick Ward, 10 for 10 from the field, 26 points. My goodness, he is just an unstoppable force.
He's no better than Teskey. All he gets is
dunks. He got about 8 post-ups against Tyler Cook, and he won every single one of them. He's not getting dunks.
Bad. He's overrated.
That is absurd. Absolutely absurd. And he only played 20 minutes and still went 10 for 10 from the field. He is a monster. Xavier Tillman, off the bench, a great big man. He had 14 points, 8 rebounds.
A great big man. Okay. Let's calm down.
He's 10 times better than Teskey. Do a lot more things than Teskey.
You gotta give credit to Teskey. Where credit is due. He is our Aaron Baines.
He is our Aaron Baines. He is your Aaron Baines, and Kenny Goins is our Aaron Baines. Kenny Goins is unstoppable on the defensive side. You cannot do anything against him. He's going to shut down Brazadinkas when we play later this year.
Not Dinkus. It is Brazadinkas.
Brazadinkas. And Kenny Goins was 3 assists away from a triple-double today. He's one of the best passing big men in the league. Cassius Winston only had 12 assists in this game. Best point guard in the league. Josh Langford.
When he's not fouling out.
Well, that was only one time. Anyways, Langford was good. Wasn't great. But hopefully we get Matt McQuaid back, which will give us some good depth. And I understand we got to beat Florida next week to even be in the conversation with Michigan. But I feel like this team can do it.
Oh, okay. Florida is awful. You've been talking about Florida all year. Oh, look at this schedule. We have to play Florida.
No. BPI gives Florida a 63% chance of winning that game.
Yeah, BPI gives Northwestern a 53% chance to beat Michigan tomorrow. So, I mean, come on.
Well, BPI is correct. BPI predicted Wisconsin would be great this year, and look, they are. It's a good tool.
Boy. Yeah, South Carolina is better than Florida.
No.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Now is better, and that's a fact.
Well, you look at Florida's losses. They lost to Florida State. That's a good loss. They lost to Oklahoma. That's a good loss. And they lost to somebody else, but they're
who is that?
They're a fringe tournament team. Florida is.
No, They're not. They're a fringe NIT team.
No. Anyways, yeah. This was an overall good week for Michigan State. Whenever you beat number 18 team in the country by 22 points, and it really should have been more, considering we were up by 30 plus with 10 minutes to go in the game. But anyways, I'm done with this.
Okay, let's move on. Ohio State, tough game against Syracuse. There were like 6 fans in the crowd watching this game. And then they defeat Minnesota, who is just not a good basketball team. What are your reactions? Mainly to their loss to Syracuse, because the Minnesota game means nothing.
Well, Minnesota's a tough team.
They're a good team. Yeah, but I don't think they could handle the zone. I just think they want to throw the ball inside a lot, and they don't have as mobile bigs. I think they got eaten up by the zone. Couldn't really come back from it. But I think Syracuse won't be Syracuse. They're going to start off well, fade out, somehow make the tournament, and then go really fall.
Well, this is the year Syracuse misses the tournament. They make it every other year.
Now they're going to the Final Four.
They're going to be like under 500 from like 10.
Facts. They suck.
Like, the lower they are, the better they do.
Ohio State, well, if you look at the top 5 or so teams in the Big Ten, Michigan State, up there, number 1 and 2. Wisconsin, number 3. And Iowa and Ohio State are battling for 4 and 5 for the best teams in the Big Ten. They're just 2 good teams. Ohio State, yeah, they lost to Syracuse, but, you're going to lose basketball games. And they aren't going to go undefeated. So that's a good loss. Minnesota, that's a great win. Jordan Murphy just got his 1,000th rebound. He's a great player. Great win for Ohio State. They're on their way to a 1 seed.
I agree with you about the good loss. Syracuse is nasty, and they're going to the Final Four. And they're a better team than Ohio State.
I will say our Louisville loss is a lot better than that loss, though.
No. Tyus Battle is the best player in the ACC, and,
Yeah, so he's better than Zion.
Oh my God!
Actually,
Zion's not even the best player on his team.
Ryan McMahon is the best player in the ACC.
Steve Barrett's the best player on the team. Okay. Now to our most important subject. Fred Hoiberg has been fired by the Bulls. Which college basketball team could use him right now?
A little early to make that call, but then get fired today. Mike, who do you think?
I know Penn State loves to be mediocre every year, so they'll probably bring Pat Chambers back, but Penn State could really use this guy.
I was going to say that as well. Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State could really use this guy. Anywhere. But in the Big Ten, he would fit perfectly there because they have a good fan base. They've just been mediocre every year. They had Tony Carr. They couldn't do anything. This guy is an elite coach, and he would bring Penn State to a tournament team every year.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they just need something different. They've been like 16 and 16 every year. They don't really do anything. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to compete. Maybe they want to, just be as bad as they are. But I don't know. I don't know. That's like an obvious spot for me.
Yeah, Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State's good. I mean, look at. I think Xavier would be a good spot for him, even though they just hired him.
They're not going to fire him.
Yeah.
No, Xavier's not a top level program though.
It's more top level of Penn State.
No, it's not. Chris Mack left him. The last two Xavier coaches left. Sean Miller left.
Yeah, they go to Louisville.
Sean Miller left.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
What's your point? He went to a better program.
You know, he could go to Duke.
Since
Okay.
when was
He's
Arizona
a better
great?
coach, yeah. This guy is maybe, if he was in college basketball right now, he'd be the second best coach in the country, behind John Beeline. You look at him. You know what? He could go back to Iowa State.
No.
That's a big good.
No, they're actually kind of good this year.
No, they would be better with him. He is a choker in the tournament, but he's a big time coach. So yeah.
I'd love to see him go to. I'd love to see him go to NC State and make the trio of great coaches, and then have somebody else go to Wake Forest, and we'd have the 4 teams battling it out. The 4 North Carolina teams.
That'd be a good spot for him. Wake Forest, you know.
Wake
Look at a
Forest.
team like Maine. That'd be a good spot. I mean.
Well, Maine's too good of a
New
pro.
Hampshire.
Maine's got higher expectations for their coaches.
Okay. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's recap the ACC Big Ten Challenge. I'll just read through the games, and I'll stop at the couple of the bigger games, and we can go recap them a little bit. Nebraska defeated Clemson.
Big game.
College.
Big game.
No. Boston College over Minnesota. Notre Dame over my Illinois Fighting Illini. Here's a big one. Penn State.
Oh, how is this a big one?
Penn State pulls up probably the best win for the Big Ten. They defeated Virginia Tech. What are your reactions to this?
It's a home.
Penn State pulled it off.
It's a home game.
Yeah, there were like 6 fans there.
Doesn't matter. It's a home game.
Who cares?
Virginia Tech chokes in every single sport. They're so mediocre in everything. They start like 15 or 16 in basketball and football, and they always suck and lose to a terrible team. I should have picked Penn State. I'm not even surprised at all.
Well, Virginia Tech lost their best player because he got kicked off the team, so I'm not really surprised either.
Actually, I should be surprised. Penn State just came off a loss to a tough Bradley team.
Hey, don't make fun of Bradley. They are in a Power 12 conference.
That's true.
I mean, when you look at the ACC Big Ten Challenge, the home team almost always wins. Look at the road teams that won. Virginia won. Of course, Virginia wins every regular season game. Who else won on the road? Nebraska. Nebraska's just better than Clemson. Nebraska's a great team. Rutgers.
Not that good.
Rutgers beat Miami because Rutgers is the better team. It's just how it works. The home team almost always wins.
You got, I was shocked. Virginia Tech, I thought they were a lot better. I watched them play against Florida State. They were a lot better, but it was a very disappointing loss for them. And Buzz Williams.
Virginia Tech played Florida State?
I think they did. I might think of another team, another maroon team. I don't know. We already talked about Louisville and MSU. Iowa narrowly defeated Pitt, and that Pitt pick wasn't actually that bad for me.
Well, he lost.
A nice guess there.
Wisconsin defeated NC State, Duke over Indiana, Syracuse over Ohio State, and then here's a big surprise for the Big Ten.
I was not surprised at all by this game.
Oh, really?
Yep, Miami's a Jay Lornega, whatever his name is. I can't ever get it right. Is it Jim Lornega or Jay Lornega? Whatever, doesn't matter. Miami's a choker. They always choke every year, just like they did to, who'd they lose to? Loyola in the first round. Rutgers is a tough team. Steve Peichel preaches defense. He's got the best defensive team in the Big Ten.
Okay.
Yeah, Miami and Virginia Tech are kind of in that same, choking, mediocre boat every single year.
Including Miami's a good team. I was shocked.
They're not a good team.
Miami's a good team. They're a tournament.
They're not a good team.
That's why they lost to Rutgers.
Well, Seton Hall lost to Rutgers last year, and they made the tournament.
How come you say it's a great win? How come you say Miami's a great team, or Miami's a good team, Rutgers beats them, Then we beat Rutgers, and you say Rutgers sucks.
Rutgers does suck. This is a fluke game.
Oh, give me a break.
And Rutgers saved this challenge from going in the ACC's direction because Michigan State couldn't hold up their end of the bargain, and Rutgers saved them. Actually,
if you look at it, between the three teams, Michigan was the only team who won.
Exactly. You look at the three. You look at the three powerhouses.
And we had the toughest team.
Really, I mean, you take a look at the three powerhouses here in the Big Ten: Michigan State, and Rutgers. And Michigan and Rutgers took care of business.
Well,
Michigan State did not.
if you said I could have one, if you could say I could have one loss this week, the one loss I would take is Louisville. I would not want to lose to Rutgers, or Iowa at home.
All right. Let's see here. Virginia over Maryland, Northwestern over Georgia Tech. We talked about Michigan and North Carolina, and we'll talk about this one a little bit. There were about, a couple hundred fans in Tallahassee watching this one. They were chopping, and Florida State narrowly defeats Purdue.
Carson Edwards completely choked this game away. Completely.
Yeah, I feel like the Trae Young reference you made about inefficiency. I think they definitely choked this one. I told you guys Leonard Hamilton, very underrated coach.
He is a good coach. I'll give you that. Leonard Hamilton's a good coach.
But I think it was Purdue's game to lose, and they gave it right to Florida State on a silver platter.
Yeah, Purdue choked this game away. They should have won this game. It's another team that could have taken advantage and given the Big Ten a win in the challenge. But, it wouldn't have mattered if Michigan State took care of business against Louisville. So, that's the bottom line.
Hey, I'll take a tie. A tie's better than a loss.
Nope.
Let's take a look at Purdue. Purdue is the biggest choking team in the Big Ten. Last year, they didn't win a single close game except for that Michigan game last year.
They won 2 close games against Michigan.
They made Miles Bridges look like a clutch player. That's how unclutch Purdue is. I mean, give me a break. And then they lose to Ohio State at home. That was an embarrassing loss last year. They lost to Wisconsin. And then Carson Edwards does that, misses 2 late free throws to seal the game. Just awful. Terrible.
Okay. Now we'll move into our Power 6 poll type thing this week, and we look at the biggest blue blood from each Power 6 conference. We all have different definitions of blue blood, so this should be interesting. We'll start with the Pac-12. Who's the biggest blue blood in the Pac-12?
There is no blue blood in the Pac-12, but if I had to pick one,
there is.
If I had to pick one, it would be Cal. I'm joking. It's not Cal. It's Arizona.
No. Historically, for my definition, I think at least historically, I think it has to be UCLA. The dominance they had with John Wood, probably the greatest coach who had basketball. Between Korean and all those championships that they won, and they were a dynasty, and they're just one of the most successful teams in college.
Calling UCLA a blue blood in basketball is like calling Michigan a blue blood in football. Like that's ridiculous.
They are.
No, they aren't. Give me a break.
They are.
Ohio State's a blue blood and Alabama's a blue blood, and that's about it.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. We should do that in the next podcast.
We'll see.
Okay. There's 3 teams that are kind of the second class. There's one team that's the first class. Arizona.
That was just class BS. Just pick one.
Arizona, Oregon, and Oregon State. And UCLA is the obvious pick. I agree with Alex.
No.
Tradition.
Enough with tradition. It's more than tradition that makes a blue blood.
It's tradition.
You have to be good.
Fan base.
You have to be good at your sport to be a blue blood. UCLA is not good at the sport of basketball. You cannot be a blue blood.
They have an A-plus coach, Steve Alford.
Oh my God.
That's not true.
They are not a good team. They're not good at basketball. You have to be good to be a blue blood.
They are good. They're nasty.
That's why I said Arizona was the closest thing. Oh, even though Arizona State's right behind them.
Okay.
So Blue Blood isn't the last 5 years. It's over.
Okay. Who is the biggest blue blood in the Big 12?
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas.
West Virginia's right behind him, though. Bob Huggins.
That's an easy one. It's Kansas and West Virginia is not right behind them.
They had John Beeline. I'm shocked you didn't have them in there with John Beeline.
John Beeline, he had his struggles at West Virginia.
Oh, you think?
If he turned it around in Michigan, so it doesn't matter.
Just proves that Bob Huggins is a better coach.
No, Bob Huggins is awful.
He's nasty.
Okay.
All right, just did.
Who is the biggest blue blood in the SEC?
Kentucky.
Yeah, that's not really even a question either.
Yeah, it's Kentucky. Agreed. It's an easy one.
I'm shocked you're not going to put Tennessee in here or something.
No, we'll get to Tennessee later.
But, Florida's pretty close, actually. You look at their history.
No, they're not.
Al Horford, 2 national championships in a row. They're up. They're close. They're closer than Michigan is.
Okay.
You can throw in the argument for Ole Miss as well.
Don't forget about Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's up there.
South Carolina.
All right. Here's a good one. This will be some good conversation here. The biggest blue blood in the Big East Conference.
Well, my definition.
The old one.
The old one. So you're putting Power 6 on here, which means there's no UConn.
Nope, no UConn.
Okay then.
That's why I asked if you guys want the old one.
The old one. Oh God. Well,
Rutgers.
when you USF. Well, when you look at my definition for blue blood, there are several criteria you have to meet. You have to be good at your sport. You have to be good at the sport of basketball. You got to have the fan base. You got to have the coach. You got to have that coach. I sound like Colin Cowherd right now, but you got to have the coach. You got to have the program tradition, the history. So those are what you got to have. And no team in the Big East qualifies for all of those categories. I've got no blue bloods in the Big East. 0.
That's ridiculous.
Well, if you go off of that, I would agree. But if you had to pick one, honestly, I think you can narrow it down to probably maybe 2 or 3. This is tough. There's not really any that stand out.
I mean, you could say Villanova, but Villanova's really been inconsistent throughout the years. They had that championship in like 85, but besides that.
You can look at like the past, so like Georgetown used to be dominant, like Patrick Ewing. But I'd have to give it to Villanova if I had to give them one.
Ridiculous. You look at some of these teams here. Hey,
Don't say something stupid like
there are a ton of blue bloods in this conference.
Oh my God.
Villanova is a blue blood.
No.
Creighton is a blue blood.
Oh my God. Creighton was in the Horizon League like 5 years ago.
So DePaul is one too?
No, DePaul is not a blue blood. Seton Hall is a blue blood.
Oh.
Providence is up there.
No.
Marquette is up there as well.
Oh my God.
But the obvious choice here, I got to go with Georgetown. They're the biggest blue blood.
You have to be good. You have to be good at your sport of basketball.
They're nasty.
No, they're not. They're big time blue blood. They're a top 5 blue blood in college basketball. Oh my gosh.
Can be Georgetown. Oh, also St. John's is a big blue blood.
Oh my God! What are we going back to Chris Mullen days of like 1980s?
Well, they have that coach, don't they? They have Chris Mullen.
Oh, give me a break! No.
And Georgetown has that coach. They have Patrick Ewing.
That's enough of you.
I think we should do the American, because by your definition, the American has about 5 teams.
So if we're going off this, UCF is a blue blood in football.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you lost me with the Creighton one. How do you have Creighton as a blue blood and not Butler?
I did forget to say Butler there. Blue blood.
Oh God.
Xavier's a blue blood.
That's just throwing the whole
And
thing.
no one's throwing the ball.
And
This team, this conference has all blue blood. Every single team is a blue blood.
let me just say, Gonzaga is the fan base. The only thing that's holding Gonzaga back is the fan base. That's the only thing that's holding Gonzaga back. They're probably
they're not good.
They're probably the closest team to being a blue blood.
Okay. The ACC. Who's the biggest blue blood in the ACC?
Well, let's go by Chris's definition. You got Miami, they're in there. Florida State, they're in there. Wake Forest, they had Chris Paul and Tim Duncan, they're in there. NC State, Jim Valvano, national championship, they're in there. North Carolina, Duke, Virginia, recent success, they're in there. Virginia Tech, of course. But Buzz Williams has brought them to blue blood status. Pitt.
Don't forget about Pitt.
Yeah, no, Pitt, they had Jamie Dixon, great coach. Pitt was a 1 seed a couple times. They're in there. Syracuse, of course. The only team in the ACC that really isn't is Georgia Tech and maybe Boston College. Now we got 12 blue bloods in the ACC.
Are we seriously though, are we only picking one?
But if we're picking one, then I'm taking North Carolina.
I would take Duke.
Nope, North Carolina.
I'm probably taking North Carolina as well. Duke's right on their heels. Yeah, you look at some other blue bloods here. Syracuse, obviously.
No.
You can't deny Louisville. They're a blue blood.
Oh, I forgot them. But they're not a blue blood. They're close, but not there. Same with Syracuse.
Wake Forest is a blue blood.
Oh my God.
They are. They definitely are. They have Chris Paul and Tim Duncan.
Oh, of course.
So anytime someone has one good player. So then Gonzaga is one.
No. Okay.
Gonzaga had Kelly Olynyk. That means they're a blue blood.
Virginia is not a blue blood.
Oh, yes, they are.
SMU is one.
Chris just said Wake Forest is a blue blood and Virginia isn't. Are you on crack?
No, it's just true. NC State is definitely a blue blood with Valvano there.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Just pick one.
No, I took North Carolina.
Might as well go with Georgia Tech.
No, Georgia Tech is not in there. I forgot to do it for the other conferences, but the Big East and the ACC are chock full of them. We'll move on here to the Big Ten. Who's the biggest blue blood of the Big Ten?
Well, once again, this conference doesn't have any teams that qualify as a blue blood, in my definition. But Indiana's getting close. If Indiana could just be a consistent 1 to 2 seed every year, then they can be in there. They've got the tradition. They've got the fan base. Michigan State just isn't consistent enough. Oh, they're decently close. Michigan doesn't have the fan base. Not even close with the fan base. Purdue, no, not Purdue. So the closest one's Indiana. Michigan State's number 2. Rutgers is number 3.
I actually disagree. I think I have to do with Michigan State. I think historically they've been thriving. I think they've been a very good program. I think they excel in the Big Ten. Maybe not recently, the past 2 or 3 years. They're still run well, but they get, when you think of the big head, the recruits that go up there, think of the successes they've had, the success they had in the past, the Final Fours. I think you just have to do it.
I'll go with Indiana as well. I mean, Michigan State is on their heels.
According to you guys, Indiana has to be good at their sport.
They are good.
They're okay. They haven't been consistent enough.
Michigan is no, I don't think they have it. Wisconsin, close.
I'll give you Indiana with Bob.
Wisconsin, that's a good one. Wisconsin hasn't been consistent enough either, and they don't have the history. Wisconsin doesn't have the history or tradition to be a blue blood.
You could give it to Northwestern.
Okay.
They made their tournament for the first time ever a couple years ago.
How pathetic is that?
Maryland is a blue blood.
Oh my God.
You look at here. You know what? I'm going to give you Indiana. This team is very close as well. Illinois is very close. No, I'm serious.
Every B1 team is a blue blood.
No, they went to did they go to the national championship a while ago?
Oh yeah, with Bruce Weber. That also means Kansas State's a blue blood.
No, they're not. Okay, are we good on this topic?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the picks. Mike's still in first place, 10-7. It's a tough week for all of us, really, if you look at the combined records. Alex is one game back. He did the best at 11-6. Luke and I were 8-9. Luke is 4 games back, and I said just a slight 11 games back.
Still a combined 30 games back in both podcasts.
So I'm only 3 games over 500, so I need to have a good week this week.
Do we even pick 11 games?
We picked a lot of games last week.
Yeah.
We picked 12, usually. But we picked a lot of games last week.
We picked 17.
Yeah. Okay. So the first game on our schedule will be tomorrow, 9 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. Michigan at Northwestern.
Michigan.
I don't know. This game is going to be close. Derek Pardon, Vic Law. Northwestern's a good team. They'll probably make the tournament because, like I said, but they might be the 11th Big Ten team that makes the tournament this year. But I'm going to take Michigan in a close one.
Yeah, I think Michigan will pull away at the end. But we remember what happened a couple years ago when they went to Northwestern. That miracle play at the end.
I remember.
This great defense that held UNC to 67.
I also remember last year Michigan went to Northwestern and took a big L.
This is a trap game. Because they're in between 2 big games, Purdue and South Carolina.
Oh my God! Give me a break.
Okay. All right. Big game. You can catch this.
Ohio State. Give me Ohio State.
And the Big Ten Network. Ohio State at Illinois.
Chris, you don't even have to say who you're picking. We already know. I'm taking Ohio State.
Let's see.
I'm going to go ahead and take Illinois. They're just a better basketball team. That's just a fact.
Let's see. Ohio State. What are they? 7-1. What is Illinois? 2-7.
2-6.
2-6. Oh, my bad. 2-6.
Oh, Illinois is the bigger blue blood. You
Yeah.
gotta take Illinois.
Ohio State. At least Ohio State went to the Natty with Thad Matta.
Okay. Big rivalry game here. Shaka Smart takes on
what
his
now?
former team, Virginia Commonwealth at Texas. Who you got?
Oh, rivalry? Are you on crack?
It's a rivalry.
No.
Yeah, it is. Just as much as MSU and Oakland.
I try to pick upsets when I can, but when you give us the worst games to pick, I'm just going to take Texas.
I will as well. I'll take it.
I was going to take VCU, but,
They're also
Shaka Smart.
Old Dominion.
Shaka Smart, he knows a lot of those guys. He knows Tennessee.
What are you talking about? He was their coach. He was the coach of VCU like 4 years ago.
Doesn't matter. He recruited some of them. I expect Texas to win a close one. This is a big rivalry game. They'll be storming the court after this one.
So it's still the Texas fans will be storming the court.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
All right. Another rivalry game. Wednesday, ESPN 2, 11 o'clock, you have Washington at Gonzaga.
Gonzaga gonna blow it.
Well, Washington was the Pac-12 favorite going into the year, but Gonzaga's just a better team. I'm going to take Gonzaga.
Chris,
Okay.
don't pick
You know what?
Washington.
Listen, Gonzaga's going to win this game. We all know that. But the thing is...
But I'm picking Washington, right?
What?
But I'm picking Washington, right?
You're picking Gonzaga, right? That's
No.
what you're picking?
I'm mocking you. You said Gonzaga is going to win, but you said you're going to take Washington, correct? Is that what you're going to do?
I don't know. Well, I have to keep my pride, so I'm taking Washington. That's going to be a lot.
Do you ever just sit here and wonder, gee, why am I 11 years back? 2 weeks into this.
You watch Washington will go in there and they will upset Gonzaga. It's a big rivalry game. There'll be more Washington fans there.
That's absurd.
Gonzaga's going to win, right?
What?
You just said everybody knows Gonzaga's going to win.
Well, they are going to win. That's my pride. Okay.
Give me a break.
UCF was going to win, but you didn't pick them.
No, that's different. All right. We have, this is Thursday, 7 o'clock, Big Ten Network. Maryland at Purdue.
At Purdue?
Yeah.
I'm not picking Maryland in this one.
Oh, man. I like Maryland a lot, but I think because Purdue's at home, I think I'm going to take Purdue. Just because they're at home.
Yeah, I agree. They're going to bounce back. I'm taking Purdue. Oh, big rivalry game here. The Cyhawks. This is Thursday, 8 o'clock on FS1, Iowa State and Iowa.
I like both teams. Both teams are really good. Iowa's a really good team as well. Iowa's going to be ranked in this matchup. I don't know. I think Iowa will bounce back and they'll beat Iowa State.
Where is it again?
That Iowa.
Okay, I'm going to take Iowa then. If it was at Iowa State, I would have taken them.
This might be the toughest game on the schedule. Just for Fred Hoiberg, I'm taking Iowa State.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you trying to come in last place?
We know Alex will be picking in this one. This will be Friday night at 11:59 on ESPN 2. We have Nevada and Arizona State.
Yeah, everyone knows what I'm picking, so Nevada.
Oh, Arizona State's undefeated. One of 11 undefeated teams left. They are.
Guess who else is one of those?
Yeah, we all know that Furman is undefeated. You don't need to tell us. Yep, Bobby Hurley's got his team finally. Last year they started like 12-0. Barely made the tournament last year. This year's different. Arizona State's the best team in the Pac-12, and they're going to upset Nevada. Give me Arizona State.
They have a couple close wins against some questionable teams.
Oh, they're nasty. Don't doubt Bobby Hurley. You'll get burned.
They beat Utah State by 5
Hey, Utah State's good.
in football.
No, they're good in basketball too.
They are nasty. I'm taking Arizona State. I also just don't like Nevada. By the way,
you don't like good teams, do you?
What?
You don't like good teams, do you?
No, I hate the teams. Okay, before we get to the end, we have a few more picks, but I have to point out that in a couple weeks, probably the game of the year we will have on here, it'll be on December 29th, the game.
I know.
At Maine.
Exactly. Big game. Big game.
The game of the year. We're picking that game and we'll be previewing it probably the entire broadcast.
Okay.
Wait, what is it?
Maine Machias at Maine.
No.
Okay.
Quality game.
I was going to take an online course at UMaine Machias, so I might have to take UMaine Machias.
All right, here we go. A massive game. Saturday, 12 o'clock on FS1. South Carolina.
Seriously,
At Michigan.
John Beeline has no balls at all. He scheduled South Carolina at home. Are you kidding me? Play him on the road. Have some balls. I'm taking Michigan.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, give me Michigan. It's going to be a, no, actually, no, it's not. They're going to blow the doors off South Carolina. So, yeah.
So, John Beeline schedules the worst out-of-conference schedules I've ever seen.
Hey, just because you don't win out of conference doesn't mean you
And,
have to be mad.
no, the Villanova game doesn't count because that was arranged between the Big Ten and Big East. That game doesn't count. And then you look at the ACC Big Ten Challenge. The North Carolina game doesn't count. John Beeline is a pathetic out-of-conference scheduler. Pathetic.
By the way, I'm announcing I am changing my Gonzaga pick.
No, you cannot change it. No.
No, I'm changing it. Sorry, I'm changing it.
We've already gone past the slide. You can't change it.
No, we shut down the podcast.
No.
I am changing it.
Nope.
Okay, let's move on. We have
What are your pride? So you can't change it.
we have the old school Michigan State logo here at Florida. Be on CBS Saturday at 12. What do you got?
Florida, tough team. They're like Utah State in football. It'll be a close one.
You did not just pick Florida.
No, I didn't. Jalen Hudson, very good player. Florida's got some good guards, I think. They've got a top 5 coach in the SEC in Mike White. But Michigan State, Michigan State limiting the turnovers. Cassius Winston is playing at an all-time level right now. I'm taking Michigan State.
Florida's just not that good. I'm going to say Michigan State.
Yeah, Florida's not good. They're awful. Okay, big game. 12 o'clock on Fox. You have Kentucky at Seton Hall.
Oh, boy.
Kentucky at Seton Hall.
Kentucky almost lost to the Spartans. UNC Greensboro. But UNC Greensboro's a good team. So, that's a game we can excuse. Kentucky has been terrible, like they are at the start of every season. They're somehow still ranked number 9 because John Calipari likes to pay off the AP voters. But I don't think Seton Hall's very good. They lost to Louisville, so I'm taking Kentucky.
Kentucky almost lost to VMI, so I'm going to take Seton Hall.
Yeah, it might surprise you guys here, but I'm going to take Kentucky. Seton Hall has been the worst team in the Big East so far this season. A bad loss to St. Louis. They got blown up by Nebraska, and they lost to Louisville. They really haven't been very impressive. And, I trust Kentucky to win a game like this, so I'll take Kentucky.
Why does the Big East have so many bald coaches? I mean, Chris Mack is gone, but they still got about 5 of them. Still.
All right, here we go. 2 more picks here. This will be Saturday, 5 o'clock on Fox. Wisconsin at Marquette. And by the way, this is Marcus Howard coming off dropping 45 points in his last game.
Yeah, he's overrated. Marquette's overrated.
Okay.
Wisconsin owns that state. They did get an impressive win over K-State, but we all know K-State is always going to be an 8 seed every year. It doesn't matter how good they are. So, not surprised by their loss there. Wisconsin's a good team. Ethan Happ, experienced. Greg Gard's the better coach. I don't care what everybody says about this Wojciechowski guy, but I'm going to take Wisconsin.
Yep, I will too. There's no way Marcus Howard puts up even close to 45 again, and he's really the only reason that they're half as good as they are.
Yep.
Ethan Happ should be first team all Big Ten.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Wisconsin.
Him and Nick Ward are the best big men in the league.
I don't know about that. But
All right,
you're going to take Marquette because he loves
I'm taking Marquette 100% because Marcus Howard is the best player probably in the country. He's winning the Wooden Award, and his performance against Kansas State was one for the ages. So, and he's going to do a similar thing here against Wisconsin. And I expect him to win this game. All right, our last pick and our game of the week. Number 6, Tennessee, against number 1, Gonzaga. This Sunday, 3 o'clock on ESPN. Who you got?
See, I like Tennessee, but they just got a history of choking. They choked at Kansas earlier this year, choked in the tournament, and Gonzaga doesn't choke, so I'm taking Gonzaga.
Wait, where's the game again?
It's like a neutral site.
Neutral? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gonzaga beat Duke. I don't really like Tennessee. Mark Few is really top 3 coach in the country. And they're going to win even without their best player in Killian Tilly. So I'm going to take Gonzaga.
And their 6-man, the backup point guard.
Okay.
Chris, everybody knows you're taking Tennessee.
I'm taking Tennessee. They're a Final Four pick of mine. Rick Barnes is nasty. Great coach. Grant Williams is going to be the best player on the court. Tennessee, they have more talent. If you ask me, and I think Rick Barnes is a better coach than Mark Few.
Talent doesn't win games, does it?
Rick Barnes.
Actually,
who did Rick Barnes choke to? Who did Rick Barnes choke to in the tournament last year? Was it Nevada?
You don't get recruits at Tennessee to play basketball. It just doesn't happen.
There's no excuses. You're number 5 in the country. Stop choking.
Well, they'll be fine. They're going to win this game. They're going to move up to like 3 or 4.
No,
So,
Mark Few's a better coach.
No, Rick Barnes is a better coach.
Oh, really? What has he accomplished?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's easier to recruit at Gonzaga than it is at Tennessee.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
He has to go out to Poland. He has to go to Poland and recruit.
All your Power 5 crap.
Where's Killian Tilly from? France?
Dude, they got
Gosh.
Hachimura from freaking Japan. Nobody plays.
Honestly,
nobody plays basketball.
Mark Few's just a great talent evaluator. What? I don't know, he's gonna get his next guy from like Russia or something.
And again, they beat Duke, who has the most talent in the country. If you are all about talent, winning games,
now you got to have the coach too. Coach can't.
Gonzaga does have the coach.
No, they don't.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
The disrespect. He laps John Beeline in every category.
No.
Laps him. Absolutely laps him. Gonzaga was nothing. Gonzaga is UCF. Only Gonzaga would be UCF going undefeated for about 20 straight years. That's the equivalent of what Gonzaga's done.
Doesn't matter.
Disrespect. They got a tough teams like Pepperdine and San Francisco. Yeah. San Francisco was undefeated, and they beat Maine by 50.
They lost to Buffalo. San Francisco lost to Buffalo.
Pepperdine, great team. Loyola Marymount.
Isn't Buffalo ranked?
Yeah.
They're ranked.
Yeah, that's a good team.
Yeah.
Mike just said they're undefeated, and they're not.
Who?
San Francisco.
Well, they were close to undefeated. They were undefeated. They did beat Maine by 50. That's an impressive win for San Francisco. St. Mary's is always good.
Maine.
You look at Portland. Portland's a good team. They're always
great team.
Portland's always tough.
Yeah.
This conference is loaded. BYU, they had Jimmer Fredette. BYU, great team.
A lot of Bluebloods in this conference, like Portland and Pepperdine.
Yep, the WCC's better than the Big East this year. I'm dead serious. You can laugh all you want.
Okay, are we all set?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that is going to do it for the Big Four podcast. We'll be back next week. Thank you for watching.